ちは、あみです。ここは英語を勉強している人のためのポッドキャストです。いろんなことについて日常的な英語を使って話していくので、もしよかったら聞いてみてください。じゃあ、Let's get started. Today I thought I would talk about some pros and cons of being short.I am actually 5'2", so in metric, I think that would be 158 centimeters. 158 or 157, around there. I am technically considered a short person, at least here in Canada. Most girls here, I think, are at least 160 centimeters. Yeah. If you're shorter than that, then you're definitely considered short.Which I think is crazy. I know in Japan, the average is about 158, right? So I wouldn't be considered short there. I hope. Anyways, I'm going to be going through 3 pros and 3 cons of being short. I think I'm gonna start with the cons and end with the pros. That way I don't sound so negative. Okay.The first con is that public transit is really uncomfortable, especially when it gets really busy on buses and trains. It's really hard being short, and I'll tell you why. I go to university, and to get there I take a train and a bus. Well, before COVID at least. Yeah, I used to go to university on a train and a bus.I would usually get on the bus in the morning at around 8:30 or 9 o'clock and then get on the bus home at around 3 in the afternoon. Both times are pretty busy peak hours, so there would be a lot of people on the trains and buses. And when there are a lot of people, there isn't anywhere to sit. You don't have much of a choice other than to stand up.When you're standing, you have to hold on to the bar that's above your head, right? Everyone has their arms up in the air. And when you're short and you stand next to people who are a little bit taller than you, your face ends up being right where their armpit is. Yeah, if you can imagine that for a second. Most of the time it's fine, but every now and then there's just that one person who has really bad body odor or has really strong perfume or cologne on. Being right next to someone's armpit is never fun. Yeah, that is one big con of being short. I try my best to find a spot in the corner if I'm standing on the train or bus. That way I'm not standing with people surrounding my entire face. If I'm in a corner next to a wall or something, I can turn my face in the other direction so that people's armpits aren't right in my face. Yeah. The second con is that at grocery stores, I can't reach a lot of the stuff on the higher shelves. This is another big con.I go to the grocery store about once a week. I do all the grocery shopping for my family. And most of the stuff actually that I want to buy tends to be on the top shelves. I don't know why. But every time I either have to step on the bottom of the shelf and climb up so that I can reach the top item, or wait for a tall person to walk by and ask them,Excuse me, sorry, do you mind reaching that thing on the top shelf? I can't reach it, which is so embarrassing. Or I have to wait for an employee to walk by or go find an employee and ask them to get me a ladder or ask them to help me grab it from the top shelf. Yeah, so a lot of things I can't reach at grocery stores, and it's very annoying. Yeah, I wish they would make shelves a bit shorter, you know? Not everyone is 6 feet. Walmart, come on, man. Okay, and the last con is that pants, especially pants like denim, never fit me properly. Every time I go to the store and try on pants, and I find a pair that fit me well in the waist, they always end up being way too baggy in the ankle area. There's always too much fabric left over. And I think it's because most pants, at least here in Canada and probably in the States, the pants are made for North American bodies. And North American bodies, Caucasian bodies I guess, are people with shorter torsos and longer legs. So the pants are higher rise but really long in the leg. So I always have to get my pants altered. It ends up being a little bit more pricey. Otherwise, I sometimes just roll them up in the leg. That is another con of being short. Okay, so on to the pros. I actually had a bit of trouble coming up with pros, which is not good, but I ended up settling on 3. So the first one is that small spaces don't bother me at all, especially on places like airplanes where there is not a lot of leg room. I find that I have more than enough leg room and I can stretch my legs out all the way. My mom is actually quite tall. She's, I think, above 170 centimeters. She always feels really cramped in airplane seats. And she's like, I'm so jealous of you. I can't even stretch out my legs all the way. I think that's a really good part about being short. And the second one is contrary to the last pro of pants never fitting me. It's that I can fit into a lot of children's and teen size shoes and clothes, which means that I get to buy some clothes and shoes that are a lot cheaper. For example, a couple weeks ago, I was looking for new running shoes. I went to the shoe store and went to the women's section. This was in like a Nike store. I was looking through what they had, but I didn't see anything I really liked. I thought all the designs were kind of weird. So then I thought, oh, maybe I'll look in the kids section. Maybe I'll find something that I like there. And lo and behold, I did. I fit into the kids size shoes. I think it was like a size 13 or 14. So that was great because kids size running shoes tend to be around $40 to $50, but adult shoes tend to be around $80, $90, sometimes even $100. So I ended up saving quite a bit of money, which I was very, very happy about because, I'm a broke university student. I only have a part-time job that pays at a bit above minimum wage. And the last pro, I don't know if people think I'm weird for seeing this as a pro, but when you're short, you're really good at hide and seek, especially the hiding part. I remember I was always really short as a kid as well, and I would be playing hide and seek and games like Cops and Robbers and Manhunt with my friends for hours on end in the summer, especially during summer vacation. And I would always be the last one standing, and I would always win. I remember one time I was hiding for close to an hour because no one could find me, and I was hiding in this big bag. It was, I think, like a beach bag where you put like toys inside to carry to the beach. And I took out all the stuff that was inside the bag, jumped inside the bag, and kind of laid down and hid inside. And no one found me for a good hour. Everyone thought I went missing. I mean, I don't know how helpful it is to be good at hide and seek as an adult, but you never know when you're going to need to hide, right? Okay, so today I talked about 3 pros and 3 cons of being short. Let me know if you're a short person and can think of any more good or bad things about being short. And if you're tall too, what are some pros and cons of being tall? I would love to know. Okay, I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye!